Hi everyone, it's me, Hegmo. Apologies for the delay between videos recently. It's been a busy couple of months, but hopefully we will be back on to our regular programming soon. This week, I'd like to continue our Prime Weapon series and talk about the hotly requested Caliburnus, the one-handed Prime Sword. In this series, we are showcasing each of the Prime weapons individually, generally looking at Stage 4 Primes for ease of access, and discussing their strengths and potential weaknesses. So far, we've had a chance to look at the Greatsword, the Scythe, the Axe, and the Harp. I have the Gun and Shield in queue, and our party is quickly approaching the next set of Stage 4s for each of our characters, so we'll be making decisions on which weapons we'll be picking up relatively soon. I think personally, I'm going to get the Great Axe. I think it'll make a good comparison between the Great Axe and the Great Sword on Warrior, but if there are any that you particularly want to see that we haven't reviewed already, feel free to let us know down in the comments and we'll try to prioritize those as well. Back to Caliburnus. Caliburnus is the one-handed sword, and it's usable only by Red Mage, Paladin, and Blue Mage, and it grants access to the unique sword weapon skill Imperator. At Stage 4, Caliburnus has 172 base damage, 233 delay, 30 dex, mind accuracy and magic accuracy, 60 attack, 269 skills, and then a unique passive of 3 refresh and -7 damage taken. At Stage 5, these stats scale up even further to 181 damage, 35 of all these stats, 70 attack, 277 skill, and then 4 refresh and 10 DT. And of course, like all primes, Caliburnus has the hidden effect similar to the relics, which activates at Stage 4 with occasional double damage on the first round of your auto attack, upgrading to triple damage at Stage 5, further boosting the white damage output. Caliburnus has access to Imperator, which is a single hit physical damage weapon skill with high dex and mind modifiers. Like all other prime weapon skills, it has very high TP scaling, making it much stronger in higher TP ranges. Imperator self skill chains to a 2-step gravitation into a 3-step darkness, and can infinitely chain with a variety of weapon skills, including Savage Blade, due to the prime's unique tendency to prioritize low-level skill chains. Now, to talk about Imperator, I first want to talk about the question that everyone has when it comes to talking about a one-handed weapon, specifically a sword. How does this weapon skill compare to Naegling? Side by side, Caliburnus is simply better on paper. It has more base damage, it has lower delay, it has more attack, it has more skills, it has a powerful passive attached to it, while only sacrificing a small amount of accuracy and magic attack bonus, along with the Savage Blade specific passive. But let's take a look at the weapon skill damage comparatively. To preface, we'll be testing with our Red Mage. Our Red Mage is not geared anywhere near to perfect. I think he's sporting an average around R7 Naomi, and he's perhaps missing a few ideal pieces, but he performs well enough. And with the same gear, we can do a side-by-side comparison. To set up this comparison, we're fighting some Locust Bite Raribs with all the standard buffs and debuffs. We have Chaos and Sam rolls, Honor March, 2 Minuets and Aria, with Fury, Frailty, and Dia 3 being applied to each enemy. And here are some of my limited results. With limited testing in the gear that I have, Naegling Savage Blade averaged around 49,500 damage at 2k TP. The spread ranged from a low of around 42k up to a high of around 54k. with the majority of our weapon skills hitting in the 48 to 50k range. Switching to Caliburnus, Imperator, on the other hand, averaged 52,500 damage at 2k TP, with a fairly tight spread ranging from 48 to 54,000, and a much more consistent 52,000 for most hits. I noticed that the average was a little bit tighter than in Naegling. I don't know if it's because of the 2 hits that Naegling does versus the single hit, but in general, the damage was a little bit higher. Popping on Soul Voice to push our PDL a little bit higher, along with our other stats, we can see even higher numbers, up to 60 to 65k with Imperator, and that's pretty good. I imagine with better Naomi, you could see those numbers pushing into the 70s in this particular situation. Now, lastly, to really drive home the comparison here, I do want to again call attention to the passives on Caliburnus. 7 DT and 3 refresh at stage 4 are fairly strong buffs. Offsetting 7 DT, for example, allows me to take advantage of the new Null Cape from Cloud of Darkness without worrying about losing the PDT from my Ambuscade Cape. Or you could adjust your TP sets, however, to bring your multi-attack up or your store TP up to better capitalize on that increased DT that you have. I tend to offhand suck Pata Sword in a lot of situations, so you have to imagine with a stage 5 prime weapon and suck Pata Sword, you're looking at 20 DT in your weapon slots alone. That's pretty crazy and allows for a lot of different itemization. Alternatively, due to the TP scaling on most prime weapon skills, I could see a TP bonus sword performing here as well. With the 1000 TP bonus from an offhand sword combined with a Moonshade Earrings 250, being able to basically weapon skill at 1750 TP for max potency on a prime weapon could be a substantial damage bonus on average. When you add in the refresh, which is welcome on all the jobs that can use Caliburnus, along with Prime's passive damage multiplier proc and higher base damage, with a job like Red Mage that attacks so much due to its high multi-attack and temper 2, the occasional double damage and higher auto attack damage certainly adds up. As a general review, I'd like to give this 7 out of 10 Hegmos. Imperator is a nice weapon skill and it hits fairly hard, averaging higher than Naegling Savage Blade for me, and the passives from the sword also allow for some new itemization. Plus, the skill chain properties are nice. In situations where Naegling Savage Blade spam and avoiding skill chain damage, like on Boomba, is important, it's great, but on things like Gartel and Swordy, being able to pop that gravitation or darkness with a warrior using Fimbulvetter, for example, is a welcome addition. Where I do dock points from this weapon is where it lies in the general one-handed weapon meta for the jobs that can use it. Naegling will always be strong. If you're looking for a sword that doesn't take 6 months of grind, that weapon skills within a few percentage of Caliburnus, then Naegling is a great physical damage option. For Red Mage, Croceum Wars is still a great weapon due to the end spell damage on Pass C, with Sanguine Blade for a magic weapon skill option. There's also Seraph Blade builds. Tizona on Blue Mage is going to be exceptionally strong, especially with its Blue Mage specific augments. Paladins are still going to be seeking out Excalibur and Burtgang because of their defensive properties. For Red Mage and Blue, Maxentius and Black Halo are still very strong contenders. There's dagger options. There's just a lot of low effort competition for Caliburnus. So, should you make Caliburnus? This definitely falls into my maybe category. If you're a career Red Mage, Blue, or Paladin, and you're looking for something to spend Gallimafree on, this is definitely a side grade that may bring some unique opportunities to your gameplay. With the ability to rework the stats on your gear, take advantage of the various passives, participate in skill chains in new ways, there's just a lot of small additions that may make this a really enjoyable sword to pick up. On the other hand, if you play a lot of different jobs and you're deciding between making a Caliburnus and something like Lona Shed or Fenaria, you will likely see a much larger upgrade with the other options than you would with Caliburnus. Ultimately, I'm happy with my decision to make it, and I think you'd have fun using it too. I think there's just a lot of competition for this sword in the endgame. I hope you found this video informative in making a decision on which prime to make next. If you did, consider a like or a sub to the channel. They're free and they don't cost anything. It just lets you know when we post new content. If you didn't enjoy this video, let me know what I did wrong down in the comments. I'd be happy to hear your feedback, or if I miscalculated something, or if maybe my gear sets are messed up and you're always seeing your Savage Blades hit harder. I'd love to hear it. I always like corrections. I'm always down to admit that my math could be entirely wrong. I stream Final Fantasy XI along with other games over at twitch.tv/Hegmo. If you want to join us in our adventure real time, feel free to drop in and chat anytime. And if you'd like to continue the conversation elsewhere, feel free to hop into the Hegmo Discord. Links are down in the description. Until next time, goodbye.